All right, today I'm excited to welcome John Hankins to the show. John, thanks for joining me today. How are we doing?
I'm doing great, Brian. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Beautiful day here in Tennessee, and I had a couple interviews. I got to spend some time outside, so that was always nice. Uh, John, on the show, we like to explore the journeys people took to get to where they're at now. But I like to start out and let the guests introduce themselves, who you are, and why you're here, and then we'll talk about the path to get there. So take it away for a minute and let people know who John Hankins is and what you got going on.
Okay, thanks. So, I am a certified financial therapist and a licensed social worker. I'm also certified as a financial social worker. I launched this career about 3 years ago at age 71. And prior to that, I spent about 35 years working in the internet and cloud services business, and
Okay.
then retired and jumped into this.
Retired but didn't retire.
Yeah.
All right, so at 71 you got a new career. That's a long time to kind of figure out what you wanted to do, really. um when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you were a kid? I mean, we're talking a few days ago. Let's go back, and what did John want to do when he was a boy?
Boy, when I was a kid, I was like the typical kid. I bounced around a bunch of different things. I wanted to be a naturalist. I loved to be outdoors. I had an uncle that was kind of my hero who was an engineer, and I was sort of primed to be an engineer. And I was actually accepted into an engineering program, and at the last minute decided that I wanted something different. And this is 1969, so this is in the middle of the Vietnam War. So
Okay.
pretty different time.
Right.
And so I went off and I eventually got involved in social services, working in a very impoverished neighborhood in West Philadelphia. And uh,
how
that
how
became
how was
my,
it?
uh, it was as a middle class white kid from the suburbs. It was
Eye-opening.
it was an incredibly important experience in my life. Incredibly important. It was kind of interesting because I had wound up going to college in upstate Pennsylvania in and got exposed there to the whole coal region in Pennsylvania, which had basically collapsed then. So I was exposed to a lot of poverty and hardship in that part of the world. And then I came back to the Philly area and wound up working in the inner city and saw a lot of poverty in that part of the world. So two very different places, but uh, I got to see stuff that as a kid, just didn't have any idea about. And
Nah.
I've
I, I grew up in Western New York, probably an hour from the Pennsylvania border, so
okay.
southwestern New York, and I know that impoverished area you're talking about. And my mom was a teacher for my whole life, well, her whole career. And when I would get spoiled, and when I would get snotty and talk to her about things, she used to take me for a ride out into the country where some of her students lived, and in the middle of the winter see them without windows, without heat really in the houses. And she's like, yeah, this is where some of my students live. Now, do you really need that baseball card or whatever stupid thing I was asking for? So I definitely I've experienced that rural impoverishment for sure. And I mean, I think we've all kind of walked through the inner city, but working in a social worker role, being immersed in it was probably definitely a impactful experience.
Oh yeah, it changed my whole worldview and was really important for me in my early 20s. So I did that for almost 10 years. Got a master's degree, went off into a PhD program, um, and then got sucked into the IT world. This is the context of this. I went from the Vietnam War to the desktop computing. This is the early 1980s.
How
And
did this transition go where I mean, you were obviously impacted by the social work.
yeah.
Why didn't that path continue there? Why such a direct turn into IT?
Well, it was a gradual process. What really sparked it was I got interested. So I'm in graduate school now, and I got interested in research, and there's all started focusing on computerized data sources and doing data analysis and all of those pieces. And I was just wound up in a position within graduate school where I was pretty expert among my peers. And I started graduate school. I immediately had a job as a research assistant, and I was kind of off and running with that. And then went off into a PhD program to another university it was just kind of a hotbed of computing. And so I really liked it.
If
And
you were groomed for that engineering background earlier, prior to going the
yeah,
social worker, I mean, all the numbers click. I mean, it's not the same, but it's in that same
yeah.
realm. If that was something that turned your crank, then I could see it. I could see it being definitely something you picked up on and enjoyed. So you're getting into IT in the mid '80s, early to mid '80s. Is that what we're
Yeah,
about the time
exactly.
period?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, Wow, what a time to grow with it. That was
yeah.
when I grew up. So I was born in the late '70s. So I grew up in that whole and experience, and I talk about it with friends all the time that are my age, like how much we've seen. I mean, you also how much we've seen invented and developed in
Oh,
that short. It was just
yeah,
it was so fast, and so many
yeah.
things changed so fast. Um, so you went down the IT route. Um, how was that?
Well, I did have this kind of dual personality where I was drawn into the social services realm and the kind of the engineering technology realm. So I loved it. I thought it was and this sounds crazy now because we look at uh, all of the social media, all those other pieces that seem to have these really not such great sides to them. But this was like the beginning of desktop computing, and then the beginning of the popular use of the internet. And I'm doing this within an academic environment, and we're seeing this is great. This is a great educational. This is going to change people's lives. This is really fantastic. So it really kind of, I saw these two things melded together in that sense. But I got caught up more and more in the whole technology piece.
I think
And
we're right there with AI right now. Like if somebody's trying to like if somebody's young and they didn't live through the advent of the home computer and how that took off and the internet, I think AI right now, people that kind of understand what's going on, like understand the impact this can have, and I think eventually we're going to get to where it is like social media now, where it's a lot of the bad and a little bit of
yeah,
that good still going on.
yeah, back then we were even more naive. It was like nobody really had. I mean, there's a few people that came up with some, whoa, where are we going here with this? But nothing like the impact that it's had. Uh, but I wound up working as a pretty senior administrator within a university doing IT stuff, and then I left and went and worked in the private sector on internet. I went to work for IBM and worked on internet stuff there. Worked for a couple different corporations, and all along that path that I went down, when you get into the detour, I was always like, is this, what's the meaning here? What's the meaning for me? Am I doing what am I really the person that I want to be? The countervailing force, of course, I was making pretty good money. I was having I had a pretty nice lifestyle, and I had grown up certainly not impoverished, but it was my parents didn't have a lot of money.
Right.
And so I had elevated my lifestyle in a way that my parents could really never imagine. I was taking trips to Asia, Europe, doing, all kinds of stuff. Um, but there was a core part of me that was like,
It kind
you
of
know,
diverts away from the personal. I mean, in that that social worker role, I mean, that's really interpersonal. I mean, helping people directly, and it sounds like as you went further into that IT, you went away from that, and you're working
oh
on,
yeah, yeah.
so you're disconnected from there. Was that the drive that took you to social work, was being impactful and helping those people? Did it leave a void when you didn't have that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, as a social worker in the '70s, I was like really committed to. I want to change the world here. I want to change these people's lives. I want to have a direct person-to-person impact on these people that I was working with, and yeah, I turned around 20 years later, and that was completely gone from my life. I was worrying about the could we get another percentage of margin on our latest product kind of thing.
And I mean, you wouldn't have been able to afford the lifestyle staying in social work, from what I understand of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
history of social worker. It hasn't been the highest paid profession in the world.
Well, I lived in an area, a life of contrast, because my wife was a social worker. So
Mm.
she was doing stuff that I thought was important, and I was making 4 times what she was making.
Right. Isn't that how it usually goes? Like the guy that's going to save your life, or wire your house, or all of this is getting peanuts compared to the people that are entertaining us or things like that. It's like, what really matters in this world?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
So did you meet your wife when you were a social worker? Did she
yeah,
continue on that path?
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah, yeah.
what how did that go? Like, were you jealous of the work she was doing? I know that I've had things that really meant a lot to me that I've had to watch other people do, and
Hmm.
I felt some strife there. Not that it caused any marital problems, but where you always go, man, I really wish that's what I was doing.
Um, I I wouldn't say that as much. We had a kind of a thing in our family. So I have 2 daughters, and both of my one daughter is a teacher, the other works in with nonprofits. Uh,
Okay.
and the thing that my family always gave back to me was that because I was making the money, I was enabling them to do the good that I wanted to do. They were my agents of.
Awesome.
Um, but in terms of my wife's her work, it was I did a lot to kind of embrace that. I really enjoyed hearing what she was doing, and I enjoyed talking with her about when she would we would she's got this case and here's these issues, and we would talk about it. And so
You got to help
that
by
was
proxy.
important. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
And like you said, providing the lifestyle to let multiple people do what you would hope to do yourself is, I mean, that's it's almost as good. Almost as good. So you said you were 35 years in IT. Is that what you
Yeah,
said? Um,
yeah.
and did that take you right through first retirement?
Yeah, so I retired just before my 67th birthday, and
Were you ready
I
for retirement?
oh well, it was kind of a mix. I was actually had the year before I retired, I had gotten involved in a project that I was very interested in with cloud computing. But I had been I'd spent a number of years where I was pretty dissatisfied with the whole work thing, but I liked the paycheck, and the work wasn't very hard. It wasn't very interesting. But I got involved in this project, and then I just got at kind of cross purposes with the whole thing. I got my head just was in a bad space, And I just decided it was time to go. And so I left. So it was sort of mixed feelings, but I was fine with leaving.
You were ready.
Yeah. And I had already, I had made a decision several years before that to bring myself back into doing some kind of nonprofit work. So I was already engaged with a couple of nonprofits and really kind of stepped back into that and made that my focus. And
I saw something. I saw something in your profile here about the kidney donation program.
Well, yeah, that was part of as this sort of frustration that I wasn't doing enough of what I thought my real mission was. I had a friend who needed his kidney. He was in kidney failure. He needed a kidney, and I decided that this would be something that I could do that would even the score for me, that I would be giving something back to the world. And I really, it was very important to me that I do that in a way that was very private. I didn't want I didn't want there to be any piece of it that would be any kind of external gratification of like, oh, he's the great guy that was going to donate the kidney. That was not where I wanted to go at all. And then I was going through this process, and as part of it, I was sort of at the, okay, we're doing these evaluations, and yeah, we're gonna, if you pass all the evaluations, then we're gonna set you up to be a kidney donor. And as the very final step in that process, it was discovered that I had a potentially serious form of lymphoma, and so I went from this it was quite emotional. I mean, really, just the buildup, first of all, of okay, I'm going to be a kidney donor was really, it was a lot.
I can imagine. Just like the emotions coming from every direction. I mean, like it's not just like getting your fingernails clipped or some routine thing. It's major surgery, but you're also fulfilling that void that you were missing. Like it's tugging at you from so many different angles.
Yeah, I was you hit on it exactly. And so I have this meeting, right? This is on a Thursday. I have this meeting. They say, okay, we're doing the evaluation. Our team's going to meet tomorrow. We're going to review all of everything, and we'll give you a call on Monday and let you know if you've been accepted into the program, basically. And so I'm spending the weekend thinking, now it's like, am I going to be accepted or not? How am I going to handle this? Either way, kind of,
right,
oh boy,
right.
I'm really doing this, or I really wanted to do this, and this really sucks that I can't do it,
What else can I do for this organization to help them if I can't actually donate a body part?
Yeah. So I Monday morning, I get up and I look, and there's already a message on my phone. Call us. I call, and it's the surgeon that would be actually taking my kidney. Okay. And it's like, this is weird that I wouldn't expect. The program's like run by a nurse who's the administrator of this. Why is the surgeon calling me? So I call her back, and she says, well, Mr. Hankins, thanks. But, when we did your CT scan last Thursday, it showed that you have, maybe a pretty serious disease, and you need to go. I've already talked to your primary care doc. This is first thing Monday morning. She's expecting your call.
Oh, wow. That's serious business. I mean, when they're moving that quickly, your heart's got to jump into your throat. Like, oh, wow, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I was so totally unprepared. I mean, it would have been one thing if I'd just gone to have a physical and they came back and said, oh, hey, we discovered this thing. It doesn't look so good. But I'm already jacked up. I'm already over here, like kidney donor guy. I'm like cancer guy.
Right. Did it turn out to be lymphoma?
Yeah, yeah, but it turned out that it is a very treatable form of lymphoma that I actually have never required treatment for. I'm still followed for it. It looked like I was going to have to be, but um, you know, it is something I have to keep a watch on for the rest of my life. But that just set me off on, okay, I got to, you know, this is serious shit. I got to figure out something here that I know I can do. And so I became involved in a local nonprofit. I joined their board. I became their treasurer. This is working with a group that supports people living with HIV and AIDS. I've been involved with them for over 10 years. I do food deliveries for them. I'm on their finance committee. Then I got involved with some other nonprofits, and I was helping a couple different nonprofits with budgets and other kind of financial and management stuff. And I became really impressed with how much emotion came into the whole process that they had in dealing with money. That these were people that they weren't finance people, you know, they were like passionate nonprofit people.
Right.
And then I also saw that my peers who were retiring, it was kind of the same thing of like, oh my God, what is this 401k thing? How do I manage all this retirement stuff? And then I came upon the Financial Therapy Association, and I looked at this and said, this, I'm in. What is this? This is for me.
Okay, and this is the path you took currently in your second career.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about what it is, and let's talk about it here for the last 5-10 minutes, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, yeah. So the Financial Therapy Association is an organization that's been around for about 15 years. It's a combination of financial planners and mental health professionals that are looking at how we deal with money, either in from the planning side or the mental health side, but that we need a better approach to our relationship with money and helping people deal with their relationship with money. Because I had this social work background, I fit into this on the mental health side, and there's a bunch of hoops I had to jump through to become a certified financial therapist, to become a licensed social worker, all of those pieces. And I'm continually involved in different trainings. Now I'm actually on the board of the Financial Therapy Association at this point. My work is basically with a whole range of people all around, money issues. I work with people that have, inherited money and they feel guilty about the inheritance and they don't know what to do with that. I work with couples where there's a lot of conflict around, oh, this person, you're spending too much money, you're not spending enough money, back and forth on those kinds of things. My real target population to work with are people that are looking at retirement or are retired. I think that our retirement system is it's an anxiety package.
Like you were mentioning all the different places that the inheritance, guilty or conflict between husband and wife, but even just as a single person, you haven't been taught about it properly. Man, that's like what it said in your profile is like the reaction you get most often is I've never even heard.
And it's becoming, we're getting more exposure, more and more as time goes on. But yes, I mean, you look at the just our economy has become what I could call, so frictionless. It's easy to get credit. You go onto Amazon and say, oh, here's I like that suit. Oh, hey, well, look, no problem. We'll ship it to you, and it's only $8 a month for the next 3 years. Oh.
So that wasn't just me noticing this everything's on a payment plan.
Yeah. I mean,
was like, I got a $4 coffee the other day and 4 monthly payments of $1.71.
so yeah, and then people get buried by that, or there's people get. I mean, there's clearly a whole addictive process that people can get into of like, I only feel good when I'm on Amazon buying stuff. If I don't do that, I mean, I have one client where she has racked up some, even though she has a quite a sufficient income for her family, she has racked up some really serious debt just out of this whole addictive process of if I'm not
Dopamine
getting
hits.
if there's no packages at the front door, I'm not feeling good. I need
Not a good day.
I need to get this stuff. So there's really so many dimensions to our whole relationship with money, and financial therapy and financial therapists kind of cover a lot of different areas.
And then you were mentioning you kind of specialize in target folks planning or heading into retirement or already in retirement.
Yeah,
and those relationships with money.
Yeah, and I think because I've been through the retirement process, I have a little bit of a different. I think I have more credibility, honestly. I've been there. I know the ins and outs of this. I'm also an affiliate member of the Financial Planning Association, so I have pretty good background in all of the Social Security, Medicare, tax sheltered stuff. I'm not a financial planner, but I understand a lot of those pieces. But I just view the whole system as really anxiety producing. How does this stuff work? I've got to make it last for the rest of my life. The stock market has crashed. What's that mean for me? How do I keep a roof over my head? All of those different pieces. I can't give you more money, but I think I can help you to get out from under the anxiety all of this produces and look at some ways for you to be more effective with your money.
Right. Well, and it like understanding that, like you said, I can't give you more money, but I could give you some tools to cope with what you got going on.
Yeah. Well put. Yeah. I mean, I just working with a couple right now where one of the first things that I figured out was you're eligible. You could be collecting Social Security, and you need to, go check it out. This is going to be another $1,500 a month for you that you didn't know about, basically. So
right. That should alleviate just a tiny bit of stress, probably.
Yeah.
John, so you're looking to connect with folks that are in planning stage or in retirement or looking to deal with some issues or non-issues with that, I suppose. If people want to find out more or get in touch with you, where can they find you, or where can they find out more about you?
So let me just I could see a broader range than that. I'm happy to talk with anybody around money stuff. And I'm happy to talk with anybody. I have a no cost introductory, half-hour conversation. If you just want to learn more about financial therapy, I'm happy to just be an information source. So yeah, I have a website. It's financial-therapy.me. I've got a Facebook page under John Hankins. I've got a YouTube channel under John Hankins, and I'll give you the link for the Financial Therapy Association, and we have a directory of financial therapists there, so you can enter. Here's what I'm looking for, and get some recommendations from that as well.
Perfect. John, I had no idea, like your profile said, no idea that this was a thing. I think it's very valuable service that you offer and your colleagues offer, and it's probably needed more than ever at this point. with everything we have going on. So John, I appreciate you coming, and I encourage everybody that thinks they could talk to you or one of your colleagues to get out to look in the video description, the audio description, find the links, and go check it out. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Brian, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.